Okay, so you've handed us some excerpts from a forecast report. This one's looking ahead at the global natural source vitamin E market.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is exactly what the depth dive is all about, isn't it? We take your source material, get straight into it, and, well, try to pull out the absolute core of what you need to know.
Dig right in.
Exactly. So our mission today, it seems pretty clear based on this forecast you've provided. We need to unpack the key numbers
hmm Understand the growth trends they're projecting.
and see how the different regions, even countries, sort of stack up according to these projections. Think of it as like your rapid briefing on this market's future shape.
Just based on this specific data set, yeah.
Okay, let's dive in. So the report kicks off with the big picture, right? Gives us a baseline from 2021.
That's right. It notes a substantial sales revenue figure for 2021, just to ground us. Then it jumps ahead.
It jumps ahead to when? 2025.
Yeah, the projected global market size for 2025. According to this forecast, that's sitting at USD 1,152.8 million.
Okay, just over $1.1 billion in 2025. And looking a bit further out, what about towards 2033?
Well, the projection makes a pretty significant leap there. It forecasts the global market size reaching USD 2,133.75 million by 2033.
Wow, so pushing towards double the 2025
Okay,
figure.
it's indicating some really strong growth in that period.
Bubbling in, what, 8 years? That feels like a pretty aggressive growth forecast.
It is, and that growth, it's captured in the compound annual growth rate, the CAGR,
Right.
which this report puts at 8.0% for that period, 2025 to 2033. It mentions the base year is 2024, and it's built on historical data from 2021 through 2024.
Okay, so the high-level takeaway is immediately clear. This forecast sees really robust, significant growth globally for natural source vitamin E over the next decade or so.
Definitely. That's the headline number.
But looking just at the global number, that can be a bit misleading, can it? Hides the details.
Absolutely. The global average is just that, it's an average. The real story, the interesting variations, they really emerge when you break it down by region.
Right, because different parts of the world are starting from different points.
Exactly, and are expected to grow at very different speeds according to this data.
Okay, let's do that then. Let's start with the current powerhouse region based on this data. North America says here it holds the major market share, over 40% back in 2025. What were the specific numbers there?
Okay, so North America. The report gives its 2021 sales revenue as $426.54 million.
Okay.
Looking ahead, it projects revenue of $669.6 million by 2033.
69.6 million, and the growth rate for North America, the CGR,
Its projected CGR is 5.8%.
5.8%.
Yeah. And the report also, zooms in on a few key countries. The U.S. was the largest piece, $336.54 million in 2021, with a projected CGR of 5.6%.
Okay.
Canada followed, $51.18 million in 21, slightly higher CGR forecast at 6.6%. And Mexico was $38.81 million with a 6.3% CGR.
Right, so North America is clearly the giant of the market now, holding that dominant share. But its projected growth rate, that 5.8%, well, that's actually quite a bit below the global average of 8.0% we just mentioned.
That seems like a crucial point, doesn't it?
It really is. It tells you that while it's currently the largest piece of the pie, other regions are forecast to expand faster. So, that could potentially shift the balance over time.
Okay. Following North America, Europe is the next major region detailed here. What does its forecast look like?
Europe's holding over 30% of the market share. Its sales revenue in 2021 was $334.31 million.
$334 million.
Okay. And it's projected to reach $545 million by 2033.
$545 million, and its growth rate, the CAGR.
The report puts Europe's CAGR at 6.3%.
6.3%, so a little higher than North America's forecast.
A bit higher, yeah, but still below that global average.
Right. And similar to North America, the report breaks down key countries here, too, showing different paces even within Europe.
It does. The UK is noted at $56.16 million in 2021, with a 7.1% CAGR forecast.
Okay, 7.1% for the UK. That's interesting. Closer to the global average. Yeah. Then Germany, the largest European number here, $66.19 million in 21, with a 6.5% CAGR. Russia at $51.82 million, but a lower 5.3% CAGR. And France is listed at $30.76 million in 21, with a 5.5% CAGR.
So Europe is the solid number 2 region, growing, like you said, a bit faster than North America overall, but still forecast below that 8.0% global average. And again, lots of variation between the countries.
Exactly.
Now let's look at Asia Pacific, or APAC. Currently, it's reported as around 23% market share, so smaller than North America and Europe right now.
Right.
Its 2021 sales revenue was $276.67 million. But this is where the story gets really interesting, isn't it, according to this forecast?
Absolutely. APAC is really highlighted here as the kind of engine of future growth. It projected to surge from that, $277 million figure
Yeah.
to a substantial $593.1 million by 2033.
Wow. Okay, that's a big jump, almost doubling from a smaller base than the others, and the growth rate that drives that.
This is the standout number. APAC's projected CGR is a remarkable 10.0%.
10%.
10%. That's significantly above North America, Europe, and the global average.
Okay, that really jumps off the page. A double-digit growth rate forecast for a major region. And the country specifics in APAC sound just as fascinating. China is flagged as a major player.
$116.2 million in 2021 with a strong 9.5% CAGR forecast. Very significant.
Nearly double digits itself than Japan.
Japan's at $38.18 million, 8.5% CAGR. South Korea, $33.2 million, 9.1% CAGR. So all showing really strong growth potential.
But the report specifically calls out India, right? That's 2021 revenue was smaller, $27.67 million.
Right, a smaller base. But its projected CAGR is the highest individual country number we see in this whole segment, a really striking 11.9%.
Almost 12%, and almost 12% annual growth rate forecast for India within this market. Wow.
Yeah.
So the picture for APAC is really clear then. It might be the third largest now, but it's projected to grow at a pace that could, well, fundamentally change the market landscape by 2033.
That's what this forecast suggests, absolutely. That 10% regional average, really fueled by countries like India, China, South Korea, that's pulling up the overall global growth number significantly.
Okay. Beyond the big 3 regions, the report also gives us figures for South America, the Middle East, and Africa. What do those look like quickly?
Sure. South America had market revenue of $43.81 million in 2021. It's forecast to reach $75.3 million by 2033,
Okay. And the growth rate?
a 7.0% CAGR.
Yeah.
And Brazil leads that region, $18.75 million in 21, with a slightly higher 7.6% CAGR forecast.
7.6 for Brazil. All right. Middle East.
Middle East is listed with $46.11 million in sales in 2021, projected to grow to $81 million by 2033. That shows a 7.3% CAGR.
Okay.
And Saudi Arabia is mentioned as a key contributor there, $16.23 million in 21, also with a 7.6% CAGR.
7.6 again. Interesting. And finally, Africa.
Africa started smaller, $25.36 million sales revenue in 2021. Forecast to reach $45.9 million by 2033. That gives it a 7.7% CAGR.
7.7. Close to the global average.
Yeah. And South Africa is noted specifically $8.93 million in 21, but with a particularly strong 8.6% CAGR forecast for the continent.
8.6% for South Africa. Another standout growth rate. Okay, so we've looked at the global number, then broken it down into these regional and country-level forecasts.
Right.
Pulling all these pieces together now. What does this picture tell us overall about the natural source vitamin E market's future, according to this report?
Well, it strongly indicates a market poised for, really significant expansion globally.
Yeah.
Targeting that 8.0% average annual growth rate over the next decade or so.
Yeah, over $2.1 billion by 2033.
Right. But the real dynamic, I think, is that contrast. The contrast between the established larger markets, North America and Europe.
Which are growing, but more slowly. 5.8% and 6.3%, you said?
Exactly. Solid but slower growth. And then the truly explosive growth forecast for APAC at 10.0%.
That's the key takeaway, isn't it? This forecast isn't just predicting growth. It seems to be predicting a kind of geographic shift in where that growth is really concentrated.
I think that's fair to say. And you see it echoed in those specific high-growth countries we mentioned, like India leading the pack at 11.9%.
South Africa at 8.6%.
Brazil and Saudi Arabia both strong at 7.6%. Even the UK is standing out in Europe at 7.1%, above its regional average. All these are above or very near the global average.
So for you, the listener who brought us this report, understanding these regional differences seems absolutely critical based on this data. It's not painting a picture of uniform growth at all.
No, not at all. It's really a story of rapid expansion in particularly APAC outpacing the more mature, albeit still growing, markets elsewhere.
It helps you see where the momentum is predicted to be based purely on these numbers.
It paints a very clear quantitative picture of how this market is expected to evolve according to this one forecast.
Okay. Absolutely. So just to sum up this deep dive into these forecast excerpts then, the global natural source vitamin E market is forecast for strong growth, projected to more than double to over $2.1 billion by 2033. And while North America and Europe currently hold the biggest market shares, this specific report identifies APAC as the region projected for the most rapid expansion.
Yeah, driven by countries like India, China, showing those exceptionally high predicted growth rates.
Right. And here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to consider as you mull over this data. This forecast gives us the numbers. It tells us the what and the how fast,
Yes.
but it doesn't really detail the why behind these quite different regional growth rates. What underlying factors, maybe things like consumer preferences or regulatory environments or economic shifts in places like India or South Africa compared to, say, Western Europe or the US? What might be driving these significant differences in the projected market acceleration?
That's the next layer, isn't it? The story behind the numbers. Something certainly worth exploring further, building on this snapshot.
Exactly. Okay, that wraps up this deep dive. We really hope this breakdown of the natural source vitamin E market forecast from the source material you shared was helpful in getting you quickly informed on its specific projections.